back to another episode of First and Last. My name is Josh, and this week I am with Joe.
Hey, man.
And not Jimmy, we got Claire.
Hey!
Hey, Claire, welcome back.
I haven't been here in like way too long.
It is your first season 4 appearance.
I'm very excited to be here.
We're happy to have you here. Get rid of that dead weight, Jimmy. Get some live weight, Claire.
Very alive.
What is it?
Don't know how I feel
What's the
about
opposite
that.
of dead weight? What is it called? It's not called live weight. That can't be right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Well, Jimmy's off saving the whales again. Those whales, they just can't protect themselves. You know,
they need a Jimmy savior.
for being really big. It's weird that Jimmy has to keep saving them, but whatever. But we're gonna do a show, and since it was Jimmy's week and Claire's here, Claire gets to pick it.
Well, in the show I wanted to do, you have to be in Canada to watch, so we're not doing that. But
Canada has their own special TVs that the U.S. people can't connect to.
Like it's on Canadian Netflix or something, or what?
yeah, something like that. But it was like free. Like you can watch this free, and I was like, oh, that's data. It's like a .ca. So I was like, that's a Canadian website. And then it kept saying that my browser wasn't updated, so then I changed different browsers, and it's like, you're not in Canada. I was like, God.
I feel like you give me 5 minutes, I could figure that out. But
Okay, well.
we've already committed to a different show.
Yes,
so.
and I'm very excited about this because it's something that I would have never picked.
Yeah,
but it's on a list of mine to watch.
I mean, it's
for
on
First
someone.
List.
It's on someone's list, right?
Yes, and I think it's like a real popular show, and it's been around for a while. And
It's been around forever, hasn't it?
12 seasons.
Jesus.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
This is gonna be great. So we're gonna be watching. Should I say it? Like,
Yeah.
are we just building up to this?
I don't.
I feel
Let's not make it the biggest letdown in First and Last
because
history.
they also already read the,
They already know what
caption
it
of the
is.
podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna be watching NYPD Blue. And if I knew the theme song, I'd sing it, but I don't.
I just have like Law and Order stuck in my head, and that's
Yes.
Is this Tony
You obviously
Shalhoub?
are like an original Law and Order, like not a Criminal Intent or an SVU. So,
Bong bong.
yeah. So I don't think it has anything to do with that, but it is in New York.
I don't know anything about the show. I obviously know it is a police drama.
Yeah, I just knew it was big in the 90s.
I feel like it's gonna be Law and Order before Law and Order. Like,
So
does this come before? This has to come before Law and Order.
It started in 93.
93 went to 2005. Went for 12 seasons, 261 episodes.
Didn't the guy from Saved by the Bell join it?
Which one?
NYPD Blue.
Zach, the Zach character. What's his name?
His actual name?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something Paul Gosselaar.
Check that wiki. I think he like joins
Mark
the crew.
Paul Gosselaar.
The problem is
Because I
there's
feel like they had so many seasons, they were like trying to get people to watch it, and I never got on that bandwagon.
as my quick peruse, I don't see the name
Okay,
Mark
then
Paul
I'm totally
Gosselaar.
wrong.
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, then
He plays some character named John Clark Jr.
okay. So
Well, there you go.
I feel like I just remember them trying to like suck in us young folk in.
I mean, I already just think like a show that goes 12 seasons, I'm already in my mind, going, well, that's not right. What I'm about to say isn't correct. But I was like, 12 seasons is a really long time. Like the main characters in the beginning might not even be the main characters at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I say that Supernatural is going on to its 15th season. Same two dudes.
Yeah.
But it's a different time for shows than it was in the 90s. Because wasn't it in the 90s you wanted to get onto a movie, like TV wasn't as big of a deal? I'm making all of this up.
I mean,
making
the
assumptions.
Friends people were getting paid like $1 million an episode.
Okay, good point. Good
I
point.
mean, I feel like the late 90s was like the heyday of TV, really.
Oh, because we have 4 cable.
Yeah, because besides the mouth breathers that watch Big Bang Theory now, who watches TV for real?
Like
Sorry.
real TV.
Just kidding, guys.
I feel like you just really are putting down
I just
mouth
really...
breathers right now.
I breathe through my mouth all the time.
Kind of does.
And Joe, you love Big Bang Theory, so...
Haven't seen it, but who knows? Maybe I will love it.
Okay, so is this a police show that it's like there's a case and then by the end of the episode they've solved it, like Law
Yeah,
and Order?
Probably.
Or like, I guess we're not going to see the law side of the show. We're
Only
just gonna
the
see
order.
So we're just going to see everybody get arrested, and then the bad guy's gonna admit that he did the crime. Right? They're gonna get him and interrogate him, and he's gonna say, "I did it. You're right."
Yeah, I wonder how many minutes we're gonna spend in like that little room, just be like, "Tell me you did it. You did it. You
I don't
killed
know.
that woman."
Something tells me it might be like longer cases. Like it won't just be like a case of the week. Like
Mm.
Law and
Okay,
Order.
so it's like a
I
Like
could
an
see-
entire season, they're chasing after a serial killer or something.
ooh, that could be different.
I don't see that happening.
You don't think so?
I mean, they could have like evolved into that,
Mm-hmm.
but I just don't think that was like how TV worked when this first kind of appeared.
Yeah.
I mean, think about like the X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it has an entire overarching like storyline, but they pepper in monsters of the week, and even their like quote unquote story episodes
Mm-hmm.
are still just they're working a case, and then maybe a little bit of the overarching story
Mhm.
kind of happened. So I still kind of think this is like a monster of the week type show.
I also feel like it's really hard to do like over like a series of a storyline when you don't have Netflix. Like you can't binge this. If you missed the show
Oh, yeah, that's
and you
true.
didn't record it, like you don't know what happened last week.
You don't want people to come in like mid-season and be like, I don't know what this is. I can't watch it.
Or like I missed an episode I'm not watching anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe like Star Trek, like Next Generation's a good example, which I know you both haven't seen.
No, have
But
not.
I mean, it's a show that went 9-10 seasons, or I forget how long it went, but it went for a long time. And most episodes are just standalone episodes, but you like grew with the characters, and they had one or two little arcs, you know? So they had a couple shows that were like a couple episodes long.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it might be more like that. I don't think they're getting ambitious where like Dexter's chasing the ice truck killer for the entire
Ice cream
first
killer.
season.
Yeah, man, Dexter.
Did
Did you watch any of that, by the way?
No, I haven't yet.
You gonna?
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
I just
Maybe
feel
it'll
like
be like a summer binge.
I just feel like it's gonna rain one day, and you're gonna be like, "What should I do? I'll watch a serial killer kill bad boys."
Killing
What you
them
gonna
bad
do?
boys. He's got a code. I read on Wikipedia that this show was controversial because of like there's like a lot of nudity for like a broadcast TV show.
Sweet.
Like it was like banned and like people like because I guess TV was more wholesome.
Maybe I
So-
don't even know what kind of like nudity would fit that zone of like.
Yeah,
well,
'cause
on
what
network
what-
TV, do you
yeah,
think there
yeah,
are any
right?
boobs on network TV?
Yeah,
No,
maybe it was just
absolute-
butts.
Yeah, is there a lot of butts?
Do you think they curse though? Because I feel like that would be a big deal.
I feel like that was one of the things too. Is like, oh man, like tonight on NYPD Blue, they're gonna say shit.
What? Mind blown.
I feel like I remember that from like they parodied it on South Park. Like they like did a parody about like there's a big deal about them saying shit once on NYPD Blue, and then so like on that episode of South Park they were just gonna like count the number of swears and it was like up into the hundreds.
Gotta do it.
But yeah, so they were pushing the envelope with like the FCC.
I just can't wait for the very first scene of this first episode is some guy walking out of the shower hanging dong and just being like, "Man,
Oh my
I
god.
washed the shit out of my body this morning."
And then commercial.
And then he just goes to commercial.
He puts on his like police uniform, guys. Come on.
But he puts it on shirt first, so he's still hanging dong for a while.
I really hope that's not the case. I doubt it's the case. I'm sure it's gonna be boobs or butts, and it's gonna be ladies naked.
I doubt it's
before
even gonna be
men.
boobs, and I bet it's like butts because
I bet it's like a bra.
I bet it's like a dude's butt, so that they could be
No.
like, no, it's fine, it's only a dude's butt.
Yeah,
It's not sexual.
I'm gonna go with Joe and say if we see any skin that is risque, it's a dude's skin.
Am I allowed to Google NYPD Blue nudity, or should I wait till like the end or something?
I mean, at least let us start the episode.
Maybe I'll look it up after we've done the last. and
If we
then
see like
I'll do a
20
nudity
minutes,
retrospective.
if we're seeing like 20 minutes of this first episode and we don't see any dong,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, obviously look it up. It was on like Fox, wasn't the show? Like,
I think it was NBC. Maybe I'm wrong.
ABC.
I knew it was like a big one.
It was ABC's longest running show until Grey's Anatomy took over the record.
Ah.
Yeah.
it literally just I read that sentence as you said that on the Wikipedia.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was gonna try to read like the next few sentences over your shoulder, but then you
It's too
turned.
far. So what do you guys think is gonna happen in this episode? And what kind of cops are we gonna see?
Like
Like
Irish
characters.
cops,
Big cops, small cops.
like one of those fat cops that was like, "Man, it's time for a desk job," like that kind of thing.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
like a fat cop who like doesn't care and is like letting criminals get away with stuff.
Like
I think within the first 5 minutes of the show, we see a cop eat a donut, and there's a foot race.
Oh, there's definitely gonna be a foot race in an alley in a
I
New
agree.
York show.
Like a friendly foot race, like
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah. Hey
They're
guys,
just-
let's go for a
they're just
run.
like-
I'm gonna win.
Which beat cops the fastest? Winner gets the donut.
oh
That's
Okay.
man, that'd be great.
I think that the criminal is the criminal. Oh, the criminal is gonna be like a homeless person. I don't know.
I think a homeless person gets murdered,
Oh,
and that's the case of who murdered the homeless
do you think
man.
they're? I think it's
They
gonna be like a rich white woman that gets murdered or something.
They're gonna spend resources looking for the murder of a homeless guy.
This is New York in the '90s. Come on.
Yeah, that's what they called cleaning up the streets.
Oh boy, oh boy. You think NYPD had NYPD Blue, NYPD?
It's hard to say.
Do you think it had a 9/11 episode?
I would guess so.
Oh,
What? I mean,
wow. It probably did.
It was
but
a big deal.
How dare you, Josh?
No, I just like.
I think we can talk about it.
I didn't go there. I hope
Never
they.
forget.
But
okay?
do you think they would have? They wouldn't have had like a special.
I didn't
I
ask.
think they would.
I didn't ask if they had a Notre Dame episode.
Oh,
Actually, I
too
wonder.
soon.
Yeah, by the time this pod comes out, people have no idea what you're talking about.
It's like a
A
week after.
later. Yeah. But I wonder if it's like one of those things. Because, yeah, my first instinct is that they totally had like a special episode. But my other thought is like, what if they did a thing where this was in a universe where there just was no 9/11? Because they're like, this shit's too real. Like,
don't
let's
know.
just give people like a fantasy show.
I don't
I
think
mean-
you can with an NYPD Blue. Like,
Hey,
and
wait,
by
Am
then,
I allowed to Google it? I'm gonna Google all this
by
stuff
then,
later.
you know that they've got
I'll wait.
Zach from Saved by the Bell, so he's gonna make perfect.
He's
for
gonna be
that.
perfect for the 9/11 episode.
I don't know, man. I think. Okay, are there gonna be any cops of color?
Yeah.
Okay, are there gonna be women cops? I don't think so.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think. No, we're gonna have
How else
women.
are we gonna get butts?
No, because that's gonna be their sexy girlfriends, and then they're gonna be like, "Bye, girl. Gotta go to work." or
I think
whatever.
there's going to be a Hispanic cop, and I think there's going to be a woman cop, and then I think there's going to be 45 Irish cops.
In New York?
Yeah, there's Irish people in New York. Haven't you ever watched the show Gangs of New York?
I guess. I figured they're all in Boston.
I definitely think there's gonna be like a token racist cop, but
Yeah.
Oh, there's going to be some playful racism in the show for
I
sure.
bet I bet if there's a racist cop, he's gonna like people are gonna be like, "You're racist," and then by the end of the episode, he's like proven right.
And he like does like a jump high five with like the black cop.
Yeah, he like profiled someone in the beginning, and then by the end, he was right. And
I hope they call him out on his racism. I think that will just make me happy as long as they're like, "You're racist," and
Like,
he's like,
the
"Yeah."
moral of the episode is like racism is right sometimes.
Okay, no, that's not. I want him to get called out for being racist. I don't want him
The
to.
moral of the story: racism is bad most of the times, unless you're a cop, and then sometimes it's good.
For
That's-
cops, it's a tool. It's just part of
I-
the tool chest.
I think there's gonna be like prostitutes in this episode. I don't know how, but
So you got prostitutes, I got a foot race and donuts,
yeah,
and a Hispanic cop and a woman cop.
I don't think there's any female cops.
I bet there's one.
Cool. And I got
I didn't-
validated racism.
I didn't say she was a detective. I said she was a cop. You think
So
there's-
she's not
you
gonna have
think-
a speaking line. She's gonna be in the
Maybe
background.
like a traffic cop.
You know, people can talk if you're not. I'm not a detective, and I'm talking right now. What are you doing?
No, but I'm saying in the show, it'd be more of like not a main character, not a big part.
Yeah.
Like they would have not even. They'd just be an extra.
Well, I don't even know. That was, I guess, when after I said that, I thought, are we following like cops? Or are we following detectives?
I think we're following cops.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the detectives then would be like
The-
around potentially, but
yeah,
not.
because they gotta interrogate after the
Because
cops
we're not
get the
following
people, right?
like, I don't think we're following like the homicide department. You know, we're not following Vice. Maybe we are following Vice actually.
I
What's
bet
Vice?
we
What
get.
does Vice stand for?
I bet it's
again?
the whole department. Like we get a little bit of a
I
little
have
bit
no
of these
idea.
cops, a little bit of these cops, a little bit of undercover.
Hope we get some traffic. That'd be fun. No, it wouldn't be. It'd be really boring TV.
Just
So boring.
I bet there's like a traffic cop character, and he's all like, "I hate doing this," and then they cut over to like the homicide guy, and he's like, "I hate doing this."
yeah,
and
but
they're all eating donuts together.
Yeah.
Okay.
He cheers the donuts.
I want to like make the show into what it's not, and I want it to be like more of an anthology where it's just like this season we just hang out with this like cop department,
Mhm.
and then the next season we hang out with this cop
I
department.
feel like you need to go watch The Wire, like, and actually watch it. And
But me not watching it and bad mouthing it with Jimmy is way more fun for me.
It would ruin that.
Or
that
the other
aspect.
one that I think is The Wire. What's that one called?
The Wire Wing.
The Wire Wing. Yeah.
I don't even know what
The
that
West
is.
Wing.
Oh, how sounds great.
Every time you say The Wire or The West Wing, I just think those are both the same show.
Oh.
Because I haven't seen either one of them besides the first and the last episode, so I just get confused.
And you insist on being...
It's my ignorance mixed with my stubbornness that makes me, therefore, make Jimmy mad.
Okay. Does he actually get mad? Like Jimmy would get mad?
I think he's not mad. I think he's disappointed.
Oh, because he hasn't like turned your heart around to either show?
Because he really wants me to watch him.
I think you would enjoy The Wire more than West Wing, but I mean, if you're not going to watch them, then don't.
There you go.
I mean, I support you.
Claire's on my side.
But we are going to watch some NYPD Blue.
Yeah, should we do that
get
now?
ready.
Why is it NYPD Blue? Doesn't that sound like redundant?
It stands for New York Police Department. Blue.
Blue. Like, isn't that like...
Maybe they couldn't do NYPD as a show title.
So maybe that's why I think it's about cops and not detectives, because like
the Blue Squad.
Cops were the blue.
But when you think about this show, I'm just imagining in my head, I don't see like blue cop uniforms.
What colored?
I see like dudes in suits in my head. Like, and I don't even...
I see cop uniforms.
Yeah, I see
Okay,
cop
so
uniforms.
I think it's gonna be more like dudes in suits. I'm totally probably wrong.
Okay.
We're gonna find out.
All right. Well, let's watch the first episode of NYPD Blue called "Someone Shot a Homeless Man in
It's
the
not
Sewer."
even called Pilot.
No, I don't know what it's called.
Oh.
I stopped looking up the titles and name. Oh, you haven't been around. And this season, I've just been making up the names of the episodes because when I read pilot, it makes me sad. So I just decide that they're fun, more fun.
When I was like looking up shows to do, I was specifically trying to find ones that weren't called Pilot.
Oh, really?
But then they were like super long episodes, and we don't have time for that.
This is a Thursday night. We have jobs, and it's called Pilot. All right. Damn it, Claire.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your life, but I thought I'd researched that already.
Fair enough. All right, listeners, we'll see you at the end of the pilot episode of NYPD Blue. Hey, we're back from this sexy episode of NYPD Blue.
Whew, smoking hot.
Claire is really happy about what she just saw. All those
I would completely disagree with everything you just... I wouldn't say that I have any feeling about what I just saw.
You saw that guy's butt.
Okay, the man butt, which was like all of a half a hot second, did not compare to the ample amount of side boob.
Yeah.
Like on network TV. Like that was...
And just full lady butt.
Which was adamantly...
I mean, the best part about full lady butt was when Joe thought it was like the guy butt. He's like, oh,
Twice.
And it was like, that was a girl's butt. He's like, oh, what?
And it was judging Amy's butt.
Whoever that is.
Well, I think her first name's actually Amy, but you guys ever heard of that show? We add that to the list.
No, I've
No.
never heard of that show.
But now I know what her butt looks
I
like.
keep thinking, I keep thinking you're like not saying Chasing Amy, the movie. Like,
No.
Are you not referring to that? But
it
No.
obviously you're
A
not.
lady named Amy.
Judging
who
Amy.
plays a judge.
It's a American drama series. Amy Gray, who's a Harvard-educated New York corporate lawyer who's also separating from her husband, finds herself back in her childhood home in Hartford, Connecticut, with a nagging mom and a daughter while working as a judge in Hartford's family court.
Ooh.
It's legit a show.
All right. Well, hey, guess what I have? A
What do you
write-up
got?
for the episode of TV we just watched.
Cool.
Let's actually watch. Let's
It's
actually hear that.
it's from IMDb and it's written by Anonymous. So
Ooh.
thank you, Hacker Group, for writing this little write-up for us. All right. A group of detectives and officers work at the 15th Precinct, a speedy police station in Manhattan, New York City. Detective John Kelly, a 15-year veteran of the force, deals with his partner, Andy Sipowicz, an alcoholic 20-year veteran detective. Laura Michaels, an aspiring lawyer and Detective Kelly's wife, is having problems with their marriage, and she hires Josh Goldstein, a lawyer who lives in the apartment 4B of their building, to work on a divorce, who gets mugged in the laundry room of the building. So that's Ross.
Ah, yeah.
Ross
Yeah.
Geller. David Schwimmer.
Mm-hmm.
He's Josh Goldstein. Meanwhile, Sipowicz is relentlessly pursuing mobster Alphonse Giardella, something like that, Giardella, who threatens Sipowicz to leave him alone. Later, Sipowicz is shot by Giardella during a tryst with a prostitute. Enraged, Kelly orders the precinct officers to hound Giardella and his ruthless employer, mafia kingpin Angelo Marino. The new must be the dad of Dan Marino. The new patrol officer, Janice Licalsi, is attracted to Detective Kelly. That's the girl whose butt we saw.
Mm-hmm.
That's Judge and Amy. But is she...
But
is this is not a I'm going to read the sentence, but it can't be right. She is revealed to be an informant for Marino, who orders her to murder Kelly.
Yeah.
So there's a little too many is's in that last sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But so I mean, we're introduced to two main characters really,
Mm-hmm.
and that is John Kelly and Sipowicz, Andy Sipowicz.
Good cop, bad cop.
So they're partners.
Well, they're both like.
Butt cop, like fucking drunk mess cop.
butt cop, drunk cop.
Yeah.
I like that term.
I think my first impression is that, like, I think I was right about, like, there being, like, overarching stories and not really, like, case of the week.
Yeah, maybe you are. I was once also surprised that it was detectives and not, like, street cops, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a beat cop.
Because, yeah, it sets up, because Sipowicz is in the hospital and recovering, so that's going to be, like, a long time. And then, you know, Giardella shot him and is out on the loose, so they're going to be chasing after him for a while. And then there's this stuff about the lady cop and, like, how she works in with the mob, and she's going after John Kelly.
And John Kelly is still, like, trying to figure out if he's going to divorce his ex-wife.
Wife. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We still haven't signed those papers because of a lot of things.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on, and I figure that those are going to be, like, the main crux of the episodes going forward. There's going to be a time to solve crimes of the week.
I can't believe the show, though, lasted
12 seasons?
12 seasons.
You've seen one episode and you're like, how did this go 12 years?
Like, a little bit. I mean, maybe they just have really good writers, or the storyline is just really compelling, or people really like side boob, or the violence, or whatever.
I think all of those things that you're saying are like recipes for like a successful show.
I think man or woman, gay or straight, no matter what, everybody likes side boob.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Okay.
I'm just saying. But yeah, all the other things people also like.
Mm-hmm.
I had a hang up right away, and that was how like grainy it's just a 1993 show, and I was like, oh, we are spoiled by today's video, and it was fine. I mean, it's a good enough show. I like forgot about it eventually.
You also didn't like the way it was shot, because
Yeah.
they kept moving the camera and like zooming in.
They were
real
so
tight shots.
Yeah, really tight
during the dialogue.
I mean,
yeah, it would be like real tight on one character, and then it would go back to the other character talking, and like the camera would kind of sway for like no reason.
like the cameraman took some of Sipowitz's drinks.
I just was also like, if we're talking about like 90s shows, there's just so many 90s things that popped out, like smoking inside, like in a meeting with your boss, or like he's at the bar and he's like smoking and drinking, and then there's typewriters.
You ever seen a man take more shots right in a row than that man did?
Well, and every time he took a shot, he would exhale smoke, but like he wasn't like taking drags. Like
they was still just
time.
in
it
there.
Was just so much smoke was in his lungs, I guess. Or maybe he's just like takes a shot and it's like a fire shot. You just can't tell. I don't know.
Fire shot.
Maybe he's a dragon.
That should be a PSA to all listeners. Whether if you decide to take shots at bars, don't mess with the ones that are on fire. I've seen too many videos online of people's faces be lit on fire.
Yeah, real easy to fuck.
Just
that up.
don't. If anything,
I'm really glad we're stopping the pod to discuss this.
If anything is lit on fire, make sure 100% that it is no longer on fire before you put it into your mouth.
Aren't you supposed to like blow them out?
Yeah, but people like blow it out and then it's like still on fire, and then they like take it and then they open their mouth and then there's a bunch of fire and then like trying to stamp it out. And
well, I thought you were going to go say like PSA, like don't take shots and then go home with a random woman, because then you're going to get shot by someone, because
I don't
that's
think
what happened in this episode.
I don't think I can guarantee you that every time you do those things in that order, that's going to happen.
Did it say in the write-up that he got shot in the butt? Because he got shot in the butt.
Yeah.
And like several other places.
Yeah, I mean, he was facing the guy when he first got shot, but the guy kept shooting and shot him in the butt.
I mean, the fact that he
So much butt.
so much butt. There's a butt in this episode.
Butt's a big part of this show. It should be called NYPD Butt.
Oh. Hi, Pete.
Pete agrees.
Pete agrees.
He loves butt jokes.
If there's a cat that loves butts, it's Pete.
Yes, okay, Pete, we get the point.
I don't know. There's like a little too much mafia in this for me. Like I'm just not as interested in like mafia crime stuff.
It is like this is a cop show and there's a mafia.
I feel like the mafia stuff was like the parts I liked most about this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I like that.
Continue.
There's everybody knows that Giadella did it, but they can't touch him, and everybody knows that Giadella's a mobster, but they can't quite touch him because that's where the show started, where it's like Sipowicz tried to bust him for like untaxed cigarettes or something in his
For
trunk.
having a whole bunch of cigarettes.
Yeah.
In 1993, you couldn't have more than 2 cigarettes.
But like the case fell apart because Sipowicz like flattened his tires, and that's how he got him to like open up his trunk.
Which, I mean, also is just like, oh, Sipowicz is just a legit piece of shit, though.
Like
Yeah.
he's a mean,
bad
bad cop.
He's a bad cop. I mean, obviously, he's going after like a mobster, I guess, but like at the same time,
There's some like deep hatred there, which I'm sure they're gonna get into after he gets out of his like being shot moment.
we can get into a big like ethics debate of whether the means justify the ends.
Yeah. Well, and he's just like a drunk mess too, because like that night that he like went to the restaurant, I wrote down all the stuff that he did.
Oh, really?
So like after he can't nail Giadella like with the cigarette stuff, he like gets pissed and gets hammered, and so like he shows up at a restaurant that he knows that Giadella's gonna be at, and he's driving like clearly hammered because he just parks his car in the middle of the street. So drunk driving, and then he like goes into this restaurant and pulls a gun on the guy, which is like not great. And then he like throws him down a set of stairs.
Looked painful.
And then he like empties out Giadella's pockets and like throws his money around. And then he takes off his shoe and takes off his own sock and puts his sock in Giadella's face.
Okay, but I thought it was his sock, but then later they were saying that it was his hairpiece.
Because he did that afterwards. Then he took off Giadella's hairpiece and put his hairpiece in his face.
I think that of all of those things, the worst thing, I mean, being held at gunpoint, freaking terrible.
Sure.
But having a sock
That's
in
the
my
worst.
mouth,
Yeah.
that's not my sock, or even if it was my sock, if I had worn the sock
Yeah.
in my mouth.
I'm surprised that Giadella didn't like try to fight him then and there, like cop or not. Like, you put a fucking sock in my mouth? It's gross.
Well, that's why he went and murdered him, or attempted to murder him.
Yeah. I mean, don't put a sock in his face.
I was rooting for the Giadelli guy when he came in and shot Sipowicz. I was like, this guy sucks.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that this character is never going to be one that you like love. I think he's the racist asshole that's sexist and crotch grabbing.
There you go, Claire. You got your sexist character. You did it.
I try. There's always one.
Your favorite character.
Yeah, he
in
said
every
that
show.
to the DA because the DA like
Yeah,
called
he,
him out
like,
on his bullshit.
Grabbed his crotch, and then I was so frustrated.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what he said.
Well, she said something in Latin that was like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done this" or whatever. And then he was like, "Yeah, whatever, Latin this, bitch." And he like grabbed his dick.
Yeah. Is that great?
Not a great moment in like New York cop history.
Yeah.
So I
Not-
guess my point is Sipowicz is bad.
Well, I mean, John Kelly's not a saint himself either.
No.
The other character.
He like ruined their whole investigation by going after like being a one-man crime-solving machine or something. I don't know.
I think you're just describing RoboCop.
I feel like this guy would have loved to be RoboCop.
I mean, if a part of my body gets blown off and I'm near death, put me into a RoboCop.
Okay.
We'll write that down.
It's on. You don't have to write it down. It's recorded. Make me RoboCop.
All right, we'll work on it.
Thank you.
We, like
Probably won't.
make you a RoboCop, but you have to do like parking tickets and stuff.
You
Like,
you
you're not
parked
a-
too close to the curb, citizen.
You're gonna be the Minneapolis like person that goes like cop that goes around and makes people like shovel their driveways. Like everybody's gonna fucking hate you.
Or you should just shovel the driveways.
And
You're
then
a
they're like,
RoboCop.
"You're a robot cop. Why don't you just shovel it?"
Yeah,
And
why
you're
don't we
like,
just attach a plow to you and you just walk down the streets?
Okay, well if we can have a plow on him, then let's do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was pretty surprised by like all of the people in this show that like I recognized.
Mhm.
Like I would say of the main people, we've got a guy. Well, I feel like the detective guy, like this. What is it?
Sipowicz?
Isn't he just known for this show?
Yeah, I feel like NYPD
Maybe
Blue is,
another
like, his
cop
thing.
show. He's like that cop guy.
He's just a gruff cop character. That's
Mm-hmm.
just like he grew up as a little boy, like a little round boy, and was like, one day I'm gonna be a cop. I'm gonna
When
show
I'm gonna be
everybody
an
my
act-
butt.
I'm gonna be an actor that acts like a cop. Is what that guy was growing up wishing, and his dream came true.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the John Kelly guy who was in NCIS Miami, the head guy, and his name is Horatio in that show. So like the whole time I was like, is that Horatio? And yeah, it was. And then we've got Judging Amy Lady, David Swimmer. The John Kelly's wife was in ER. She's like the big, like one of the main doctors in ER.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those people were
TV vets.
TV
Or future like, TV
like
stars.
this might have launched careers, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Although I feel like it's a really long break from like being on NYPD Blue to being on a
Friends?
NCIS Miami. Like that's a long break.
What do you mean a long break?
Like in time.
Oh,
Like if that was because it's 1992.
93.
Okay, 1993. Sorry.
When's NCIS start? Like not till late 90s?
Like, probably like 2003.
Well, like maybe he was on this show until then, right?
Could have been.
Could have been. He
Because
was
this
in,
show went to
he was in the
2005.
bottom of the IMDb pictures, so I feel like that's a sign.
I think he gets replaced by Zach Morris pretty
Yeah,
quickly.
I think so. Well, not quickly. I don't think that's till the end. They're trying to like round up some like millennials to watch it.
They're just like, you're gonna get to see Zach's butt.
Oh, gross.
I think the thing that like really sold this for me is like that it is real sexy is like the music that they had during like the sex scene. It was just like
I didn't notice.
it was like, I don't know, for me it felt like real like nostalgic. It felt like 90s like
Okay, so 90s like sex scenes.
yeah.
Apparently, are
They
what
do
you
it.
feel
That
this
does it for Joe.
nostalgia for.
No, I used to like I was talking about this recently where like my parents would pretty much let me watch like whatever movie with them. Like no matter how much like gore or violence, but if there's sex, I have to like look away during like the sex scenes.
Is that why you don't like sex in your shows? Because your parents don't
I
approve?
bet you that's
Maybe.
true.
So yeah, so it's like when I hear music like that, I'm just like, oh fuck, sex is coming.
I better turn away.
Gotta look away. I started eating my sandwich more during that scene.
Can't look at the TV.
Whatever. Josh
Claire will yell at
rewinded
me.
it. To
Yeah, we
see
watched the sex scene
side
twice.
boob again.
Well, I didn't want to watch all of it, but I thought for a second there was a nip slip on ABC.
And both times I thought it was the guy's butt until it was like until they zoom out and you see it's the girl. I'm just like, oh weird.
It wasn't. It was his butt or her butt.
But yeah,
Whose
when the side boob is like an understatement. You really see like pretty much like,
Everything but nip.
yeah, if this was like modern day, I would have guessed that they did some sort of like digital altering to like erase the nip.
They photoshopped that nip out.
They'd probably do some like crafty like lighting techniques.
Because the boob was like hanging down, like it wasn't just like obscured or anything. It was just like hanging down, and we're looking from the side.
Everyone just Google it. Like,
Google nips.
I don't think that's what you should Google, but
Google NYPD nips.
I don't know.
No, that's not it. It was interesting. I think by the end of the episode, I was like, oh man, there's been a lot of story.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it really has only been these two characters, like
Mhm.
Sipowicz being a douche and John Kelly like getting divorced, but then also banging some other girl too.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, this has been a lot. Oh, David Schwimmer got punched in the face.
Yeah.
By some dude in the laundry room.
Yeah, because they're gonna get that guy. It's definitely like Joe, you were saying, like it's very dependent on previous episodes. What am I trying to say?
It's story driven.
Story driven. That's what I'm
Potentially.
trying to say.
Big story arcs
Okay.
in it, and not episode to episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was actually surprised that it wasn't just a case. I
Mhm.
thought it was starting out when it started off in the courtroom. I was like, oh, this is the end of a case. Then we're just going to start a new case.
Mhm.
And I thought that was going to happen. It didn't. Also, I didn't see any donuts, which I was bummed about, and I didn't see a foot race.
Yeah.
No, I really thought you were going to.
But I did see a Hispanic cop and a lady cop.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Hispanic cop, he had a dope shirt on.
It was great.
I want to buy it for Joe.
Yeah, I would love for Joe to be wearing that right now.
Wouldn't we all?
Exactly. Anything else to add about this episode before we dive into predictions? Or
No.
all right, let's do it. Let's do predictions.
I've got some basic ones, so maybe I could go first. I've got, let's see, in this finale, one more man butt, just to kind of tie it off.
Yeah, that's the bookend everyone needs in their NYPD butts.
Yeah, I think by this point it's become like an in joke on the show. So like just like starts out with a man butt, and people are just like, okay, good one, guys.
You got me, Sipowicz.
I think that there's some sort of scandal that goes all the way up to the mayor. I made this call in, I think, The Wire.
Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, that sounds like a Wire prediction.
Yeah, I said in The Wire, and I was right then, so I think it's gonna be right again now.
Do you think when was, because Rudy Giuliani was the mayor of New York during 9/11, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this show went to 2005, and I don't know how long his mayorship was for.
No idea.
So I'm just wondering if at the end of the show he was still in, because I could see him being in this show.
Just as himself.
He's done it before.
All I know is that in 2005, I thought a lot of different things about Rudy Giuliani than I do in 2019.
So did he. I think that like because it's 2005 and like terrorism is hot, I think there's a terrorist plot.
Ooh.
Terrorism's so hot right now.
Yeah. Like 24 is going on and stuff. I think there's a terrorism plot. And then last one, I think that like true to New York, someone eats a hot dog.
Nice.
Stealing my hot dog
I
prediction.
mean, you could have said it. I'm going to do mine because I feel like, I don't know why, I set myself up for no points, but I really
You're
want.
going to get all 4.
Oh, God, I would be happy. Number 1, I think Andy is retiring. Or not Andy. So I wrote Andy, but I meant John Kelly.
Okay.
Okay.
I think John Kelly is retiring. I have one that I don't think I know. I don't know how to prove this, but hopefully this will be provable. I think Sipowicz has diabetes.
Oh, no.
The diabetes.
Did you see him take those shots? There's no way that man doesn't have diabetes.
Oh.
And I wrote ... and or cancer.
Wow. Those are like
His diabetes and
very
cancer.
different things.
Or cancer.
It's more of like a Law and Order plotline.
I think someone wears a cowboy hat.
In New York City.
Yeah, I think it's ironic, but I think they still do it.
If the naked cowboy is in this episode, I'm done.
A naked cowboy butt, but he's still wearing the hat.
Well, like there's the singer in New York that like hangs out in Times Square and he's like the naked cowboy.
Oh, I would love it.
No.
I would love it. And then I think, so the first episode was in 93. The last episode was in 2005. Friends went 1994 to 2004. So I think David Schwimmer is back.
Just playing a bit role as the lawyer.
Yeah.
I really hope that happens.
I think
I really hope that is a thing. It was hard to make predictions for the show just because it like you have to predict 12 years. I don't know. It just was harder than most shows.
Oh, yeah. It's very, very hard to predict 12 years in advance.
But I think that there's going to be a new theme song for the opening montage, mainly because I don't like the song they had. It wasn't really a song. It was like some like
Just a lot of drums.
weird drum beats that didn't even have a melody. Like I hope that there's like an NYPD Blue song. That's what I hope. I think there's no buts. I think
Zero butts?
no buts. It's not going to be NYPD butts anymore. Like there's going to be no buts at all in the episode. I think that Andy
Sipowicz.
There we go. He's going to be the lieutenant.
Lieutenant Sipowicz.
So he's in charge. Like he's the guy in charge. Isn't that the guy in charge? Like the lieutenant?
It's one of them.
Well, I think he's lieutenant. And I think there's going to be no smoking in this episode. We saw a lot of smoking in the first episode. I think there's going to be none in the last episode.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds like
Joe
you got to
thinks
pay.
that's a weak predict. I can tell by his face.
You
But
gotta-
I'm sticking with it.
You got to pay attention in this episode. I just
Yeah.
got to look for a cowboy hat
I need to.
and cancer.
I
But
need just going to watch for cancer.
you got to watch for cancer. See if he's got that glow.
All right. You guys ready to see some crime?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go to the finale of NYPD Butts. Sipowicz has diabetes. We'll see you after that, listeners. And we're back. We finished the last episode of NYPD Boobs.
Woo!
There was no sex scene in this entire episode.
Well, the prostitute was dead and she was in sexy lingerie.
A dead prostitute does
It was
not
a metaphor.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a very different show here at the end.
It was a very different show. I have a little write-up here, written once again by the hacker group Anonymous on IMDb. Thank you very much, boys and girls. You're doing God's work. As he begins his new job as squad commander, Sipowicz disobeys orders and keeps a murder investigation open, even though a Japanese man with diplomatic immunity has confessed to the crime. That's it.
Much shorter write-up, too.
Much, much shorter. I mean, yeah, Sipowicz apparently got a new job. Everyone, it's funny because I still assume that he's a pile of shit.
Yeah.
And everyone,
Sipowicz?
yeah, and everyone seemed like that was very surprising that he got the job. And then he had a weird thing with the office.
Yeah, because he was, what is he, the squad commander. But then they kept asking him, like, why aren't you in uniform? And, like, going, like, maybe he was going to quit being a detective and we, like, missed this whole journey.
Well, it kept making everyone sound like he was just going to go back to being, like, a beat cop or, like, a something, you know? Like.
Yeah, but then he's there and then he wouldn't move into his office.
Yeah.
But that was, like, the end scene. Everybody goes into the office and says goodbye.
Yeah.
For way too long.
That was the only part of like this whole episode that was like kind of like a finale. Like
True.
the last like 3 minutes or something. Hold on, I gotta. Everyone talk while I kill a cat.
Don't kill him.
Stop it, buddy. You're big and there's a podcast on. You guys are just waiting, letting me do it.
I was waiting for Joe to like chat. I'm
No.
just a fill-in.
Joe just wanted to see. No, Pete the cat likes to smack the blinds now when they're closed. And it's like, it's nighttime. The creepers will look in if you don't keep the blinds shut. But that's his way of like, hey, come on. I think it's half he wants to see outside and half he wants you to pay attention to him. Cats, everybody.
Sounds
Now
like
he's just having a snack.
sounds like a cat.
Yep. But so, yeah, it wasn't really, it was much more like a Monster of the Week episode.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
So maybe I was wrong. Maybe it does turn into that show.
Right?
Maybe they try it out for a few episodes, maybe just the first season or so, and then after that it gets more conventional.
And I feel like we could have given Jimmy the point of a whodunit because it was like the case of the murdered hooker and they didn't even like figure it out.
It really was like not like solving the crime part was not interesting at all.
Yeah, not at all. They talked to a lot of people, but they knew the whole time who the guy was, right? Like, it wasn't even really a whodunit. It's just like, can we just gather enough evidence to say he did it?
Can we get him on it?
Yeah.
Well, because the guy, it seemed like he paid off the.
Get your cat, Pete.
Hey, Pete. You're really ruining this part right now.
We're gonna just do this again. Okay. Anyway, what were you saying, Joe?
I wasn't saying anything. Josh was saying something. There now, yeah, we're just opening the blinds so now the creepers can look in. Are you happy now, Pete?
Our home safety is gone, but now Pete won't.
Now just the neighbors are looking in on us recording a podcast.
Now they know all the expensive stuff I got in here. What was I saying before?
I have no idea.
It was yeah, they were like, because it seemed like the old rich dude was hanging out with the hooker, and then he somehow like he paid off the debt of the Japanese diplomat man. So then that guy would confess to the murders because he had diplomatic immunity.
Yes.
And then he just went back home to Japan. And then the old guy then couldn't get hit for killing the woman. And the reason why they thought he killed him was because they kept the officers kept finding out that he was more and more like rough with the ladies.
Oh yeah. It was almost like they tried to fill in the fact that there was no action. They just went and talked to people the whole show with like these scenes that were their transition scenes, which were like these like someone took the camera out and decided to point it and then move and look at parts of the city. I hated that.
And then there's some like rock music.
You really,
Yeah.
you really didn't like the transition camera scenes.
It was so much and so long.
I mean, there was a lot of, this whole episode was a lot of little scenes, you know. So there wasn't like, they're in Ross's apartment the whole time. Like, you know, they didn't do a lot of those, and generally like TV shows do a setup shot, but it's like, this is the building, you know, and then it goes to the scene. But they did like shot, and then they were like inside.
Well, it's like swoopy shots. Like, let's look at this city scene, and we're gonna go from person's face to person's face. It was, if I was like anybody who had nausea, like this show would make me vomit.
Well, they even did swoopy scenes when they were just having conversations, like us three talking
they're
in a
just talking.
circle. It'd be like, cameras on you, Claire, and then it would pan to Joe, but it would like swoop into Joe talking
And
from like
also-
above his head.
Like that one, like that was probably the most interesting scene was when they were actually in the murder scene, and there was like the bellhop was there, and he was incredibly short compared to both of the other actors, which instead of them like either making it part of the scene or having him stand in a box so he's taller, they used it so that they could swoop down to him, and he just looked incredibly tiny.
Yeah, you think like whoever was like the producer or whatever, because I mean, that's not an edit choice, you know, because the editor of the show didn't like zoom in
yeah.
and swoop. Like that was like the producer or the director going, all right, now I want the camera guy, like crane it, look, swoop in. Like
Yeah.
that was like a choice that they made
Yeah,
deliberately.
because I was even thinking like, oh, maybe they just, maybe they just shot this real quick and they had, the camera just swooping between the two characters talking. But then like, because they have the cuts in between, like they don't need to do the swoops in between.
No.
Like you could move the camera to the other character while the other camera is like focused on the one
Yeah,
character.
if they wanted to move the camera so bad, they could have just like panned while they were talking to one another. But they were doing full cuts and then also swooping.
So it's definitely a deliberate choice that they're like doing this.
It was weird. It was a weird choice.
But yeah, otherwise it's, 10 scenes of two cop characters talking to two witnesses
Yeah.
Yep.
in like wherever they are, whether they're like doing some woodworking or like sitting in an
who
office.
showed up? What was it? The one girl from the Wonder Years showed up?
Oh, Winnie? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just like
She
random-
was just like the friend. She was like
the sister?
a friend or a sister of the girl that died.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was just part of it.
This is what I imagine like most of NYPD Blue is, right? Isn't it just like talking to witnesses and gathering information?
Well, and see, I liked like as far as like it wasn't much of a finale. Like it didn't really wrap anything up. It must have. There must be some feelings about Sipowicz that we all have, like having watched the whole show. That like him becoming squad commander is like weird. It's like weird, but you feel good for him, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of what I'm gathering, but like them like going, oh, there's a murder, let's solve it. Like I like that kind of stuff, and that's what I wanted to see in the first episode. But then it just didn't make sense, and that's like the thing I wouldn't have expected to see in the last episode.
See, I think I was surprised more by the first episode and the fact that the arc was larger, and I was surprised that I was interested in the characters and like sort of their story. I mean, granted, it is the final episode, but
Well, it just something about it just felt just like information transfer. Maybe it's because I don't know the characters or what, but it's just like two cops ask a question, someone answers it. Oh, it was the guy that we thought it was the guy the whole time.
But you weren't even gonna know all the characters because they introduced two new detectives in this episode.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
Brand new to the team.
Yeah, the first day out.
And then awkwardly, there's two former detectives that like came in at different parts and were like, "Oh, I guess when you leave, you're gone."
Well, even half the most of the two detectives that were around, that were like had been around, that were like talking to other people, it was like, well, we didn't get any closure with them. They're just still cops in the force. At least there was at least something pointing to like growth or movement for Sipowicz. But everyone else was just like, this is just
Another day.
Did they leave and think like they have more episodes like to shoot later on or something? Like,
But I feel like there's got to be more stuff to this on like a Law and Order, right? Like there's more than just talking to witnesses, or is it really just this?
Well, that's what the Law and the Order part is like you're gonna have the cop beat, but then you also cross over into the legal side with the courthouse and
like
the
how they're
prosecution.
gonna like
So you get the
try the
whole
case.
the whole like shebang.
Which
Yeah.
it seemed almost like that's kind of what they were going for in the first episode. We had a court, we had different characters playing different parts of the system of police. For this episode, we just saw the detective group and the guy with the really weird hair at the receptionist desk.
He had such poofy hair. It was
It
so
was
big.
like a helmet.
Yeah.
It was like, ugh.
Big man was using moose.
It just felt like homework, or like I was like reading a report. It was just like bit of information. Then all of a sudden everyone's like having a tearful goodbye at the end.
Yeah, and that was the weird part, because that was the weirdest thing, because like it ended like how it did or whatever, but the whole episode was about the case, and then it was just like, oh, we're halfway through trying to figure out this case. That's the end of the episode. I was like, oh, it's already time. Like I was like, we've been watching this for a while, but we didn't finish this case.
Yeah.
Like,
I was
maybe,
grateful.
And that's the thing I wonder about. Like, do they actually finish the case, or are they just like finding the bad guy that the cops think is the bad guy? Like, I don't know how much
because
I
they
would want to
arrested
watch
the
that
guy
show.
right at the end.
Well, and I think for a lot of like procedurals, like maybe this or like Law and Order and stuff, I bet some of them are just like, cops go ask questions, they find the guy, they think it like, they think it's somebody else, blah blah blah, and that's kind of the whole thing. But I'm assuming a lot of them are like, oh, this case isn't exactly what it seems.
Yeah,
They're
some
like
sort of intrigue.
they're like a bunch of poor man's like Sherlock Holmes. Like
I'd rather that
figuring
than
out
this.
some clues.
Yeah,
there's a chase.
there's twists
Someone
or a
tries to
little
run.
action. Yeah, there's just a gunshot. We didn't hear one gunshot. Wait, no, we heard a bunch of gunshots in the first episode because they failed at killing Sipowicz.
It definitely has a different vibe than the first episode.
Yeah,
and
very
I
different.
don't think I would be as into it.
No.
Joe is not pleased, I can tell.
No, I was very snoozy.
But I
Very
wonder if
snoozy.
that also has to do with the times, people's interest in police dramas. Like maybe you're bringing up September 11th. There was definitely some September 11th memorabilia in the background, like We Stand Together stuff. But I don't know if that changes the way a cop show works.
It doesn't. It doesn't change like solving a murder. It shouldn't, But I would. This is also 4 years after. I think this is March 2005. So it's like 4 years, 4.5 almost from like September 11th. So
Yeah.
like probably that season after it was probably a little weird and janky, messed up. They had to try to skirt some issues and kind of deal with it, hopefully classfully, if they brought it up at all.
Yeah,
but
if
like
they
for the
did.
most part, it's just like, a hooker dying on a TV show shouldn't really have anything to do with like a terrorism attack. In
No,
America.
and I
So it
definitely
She was a secret
understand that.
terrorist, and that's
Yeah.
why she died.
And I don't think that's a classy way to take care of that. So I don't think it got affected. I wouldn't.
No,
have
but I'm just
expected
saying,
it
like,
to.
did that affect the way that they were doing these shows? I don't know.
I mean,
And also, maybe people's taste for shows about New York City weren't what they once were. I mean, there's a million shows about New York. so.
I just don't know. I already can't figure out how there's like 10 different CISs and like there's NYPD Blue and Law and Order and like Law and Order Spectrum.
Do you
like
mean CSI?
Sure. Well,
Okay.
there's an NCIS. Did
Oh,
I
yeah,
say
there's
that?
one NCIS.
Oh, okay, fine. There's a bunch of CISs, CSIs,
CSIs, yeah.
and then NCIS.
Yeah.
And then there's like SVUs or something like that.
Yes.
And then how are there so many procedurals? I mean, people must love them, but it's got to be saturated, right?
I
I
think
mean,
they
once
hit
you've
their
seen-
peak. I think they probably hit their peak around, I don't know when, like probably like 2005, probably when this was ending.
I just kind of
Because think about that. That's when like a lot of those, like that's when there was all 3 Law and Orders on TV.
Well, that's what I just think. Once you've seen them all, once you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all. It's like a couple of weeks ago, I watched a bunch of like cop videos on YouTube,
No, you just seen.
but I
enough
did it
cop
for
videos.
but I watched them for like 2 days, and then I was like, well, I got my quota for like 3 years. You
Yeah.
know, I don't need to watch like some cop go, "You got marijuana in the car," like, you know, like that. I mean, I just assume that's just like that was a 3-minute video, but that's what every single cop show is like.
I feel like before like Netflix, I liked like a Law and Order because you could like binge watch that and you could like miss pieces and still like figure it out, and you kind of like knew the steps to it. I feel like this show almost became more like that and less of what it was in the beginning, and I don't think it was good for the show. But I also feel like we watched a really weird episode. Like, I hope that this isn't how.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if I was saying what my perfect like cop procedural show would be, is something that's got like a whodunit like scenario where every episode kind of feels like a puzzle, and that you're like being, oh, can I figure out who did it before the end of the show before they tell me?
Okay, so if anyone knows what show we should watch that
Well,
has
that's like-
that in there, like, let us know.
Is that like how like CSI works?
FNLpodcast@gmail.com and on
Send
Twitter.
in that email.
Isn't that how like CSI works?
That's what I think how CSI works.
CSI is more.
Yeah.
I guess it is like that. I haven't seen it. In
Yeah, they
a
investigate
long
a
time.
crime and then they figure out who done it.
And then some of them like,
And there's a scene.
But it's not like you would have an idea of who the characters were at the beginning. Like, they would just come across a dead body and be like, "We're gonna figure this out."
Yeah.
yeah, but then you go to the lab and they're like, oh, these are the clues. Go
Yeah.
get them,
Okay, so-
detectives.
So-
So if anyone just emails, we
We
just
already
say
figured
CSI.
out. Just delete your email. I did look up what
Just
happened.
tell our
around-
listeners to delete their emails.
Delete your entire email account. You don't need it. The season where 9/11 happened, they like tie it into like the first episode of that season, but that's pretty much it. It's just like they don't do like a season on terrorism or anything. It's
I
more
didn't
just,
think they
like-
were going to go that deep, but I figured
They
they
gotta
would like have an
keep
episode
fighting
about
crime.
it kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just like kind of in the backdrop of the show.
Oh man, the towers are falling, but that hooker's dead. We should figure this out.
That's pretty much how the description read.
Oh wow.
It was like in the wake of the like September 11th attacks, 4 dead bodies are found in an apartment. And I was like, oh, okay, just moving along.
All right. All right. Hey, always moving forward, you know? Always
Yeah.
moving forward.
Wow.
Never forget.
I'm not going to watch this show. But I
Cool.
just don't think procedurals or law stuff is really in my wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you combined bits like some of the cop stuff in the last episode and then some of the character development in the first episode, that this was probably a good show. Like a okay show, like a 4.5 out of 10. Are we giving numbers?
That's a failing grade. I think that just the camera swooping alone, I'm out.
Oh, I hated the camera.
I like can't watch that, and it's too grainy, and I'm not into the characters.
I forgot about the grainy after a while. Like when you turn it on, you're like, ugh, and then the grainy goes away, and like my eyes forget about it.
I don't know. You watching it, Joe? You gonna start watching this?
I just Googled, does Sipowicz show his butt? And I think he does.
You're gonna watch that episode? We got shot in the butt. Of course he's gonna show his butt.
Buttowitz. Am I right? Oh, I have a question. Claire, you have glasses, right?
Oh, there it is. Oh, it's in GIF form. Yeah, there's like a shower scene and you see his
Just
butt.
show it to me. Wait. It floats down to his feet.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, it's like a full like
The camera starts on his
shower
back,
scene.
and it goes down to his feet.
Oh, okay.
It's jarring. It's jarring.
What
yeah.
would Twitter let us send out that GIF?
Oh my gosh.
We'll figure it out. No, I was watching Sibowitz put his glasses on, and like how he like puts them on, and I'm like, man, do people with glasses poke themselves in their eye regularly with like the
You
hooks around your ear?
you don't. But like, I actually watched him put them on, and I was like, thinking.
I feel like he did that recklessly.
Well, I actually thought about it because I was jealous and how easy, like it was. He just had this whole thing. Like, he's an old dude who needs his reading glasses and like has this process.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I don't know. I don't put glasses on very. I mean, look, when I put
Do you have
sunglasses on, I do. But
do you ever poke yourself in the eye?
I think I might have. You know.
Oh God.
But I mean, maybe not. I don't know.
I'm worried about your coordination.
I mean, it's something I don't do very often.
But yeah, he sat down after he was like crying to sit at his desk. It was so strange.
It was so heartfelt.
It was also like I just wanted them to be like, hey guys, this is your last episode. You're like trying to say goodbye to this person. Like no other episode of the show are you gonna all like at the end of the night be like, hey, bye boss. Great day. I hope I didn't mess it up.
What a wonderful time.
Hey, keep it up. Great job, boss. Like it was so strange.
Yeah.
I should be a writer.
I would say all in all, it was a good, like as far as like pilots go, it was a good pilot. I got to know the people.
Yeah.
And as far as finales
Interesting
go,
pilot.
it was not a good finale.
Yeah.
Because it was a regular show with a 5-minute bit of finale tacked on at the end.
Yeah, it was it was what's the name of that actor? Dennis Franz. It was a Dennis Franz's butt of an ending.
So, well, good thing.
Buttowitz.
While we talk about butts, that leads me to points.
All right.
Because I said there would be no butts, and there were no butts.
No butts.
Did Joe show you that GIF?
Well, that was not in this episode, so I get myself a point.
0 butts. People only shot from the waist up.
I was definitely wrong, though. They kept that terrible, like, opening song thing.
Oh, yeah, they did. Hell yeah.
But you, at the end, were like, I recognize this. I totally know this. I still do not.
Yeah, no idea.
I don't know that one.
I've heard it before.
It's bad.
I said that Andy
I didn't
was
say
going
I liked it. I said I heard it.
I said he was going to be the lieutenant, which he wasn't.
You know, he was like the super commander.
He was the squad commander. Squad commander.
Squad commander. It's like, what is he? Was he like on an X-wing squadron or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, but he's basically the lieutenant from the first episode. Like he's doing that role. But
I have no idea how any of that works.
I'm not getting any points. But I didn't see any smoking in this episode, and so I definitely get a point for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see any smoking.
So my nose were what I got points on. So I think I'm gonna
stay
remember
negative.
that.
Stay negative, Claire.
I'm gonna remember that for the next time I'm on the pod.
So, a man butt, a scandalous mayor, a terrorist plot, and a hot dog. What do those have in common?
Not in this episode.
That none of them were
Yeah.
there.
None of them happened.
Well,
So
hey,
0 points.
But what do Kelly retiring, Sipowicz having diabetes, someone wearing a cowboy hat, or David Schwimmer being in this episode have in common?
I all wish those things happened.
Yes. Also, they all land me 0 points. So Claire's the only one with points. 2 points.
I feel like a champion.
You did great. You unofficially, officially, me and you are now tied for the season of first and last in points. For last place.
I mean, that's okay.
But we are tied.
Unofficially.
I'll take prize for last place. I typically take that anyway.
Yeah. Did Pete walk outside of the room and is just destroying something out there now?
Yeah, I don't know. He's poking around in something in the closet.
He's just maddened and he just wants us to be done.
He wants attention.
He would just really
He's
love
acting
for us.
out.
Yeah. He's a 10-year-old cat and he's acting like just a little baby 2-year-old cat.
We're talking a lot about cats in this episode.
A lot of cats.
Cats, and butts.
Yeah.
Cat
Hope
butts.
you're ready for that when you tune in to the NYPD Blue episode. If you
All
thought
right.
you were going to get some serious analysis about like police work or like dramas.
I think
Nope.
I think we did a good job.
Just butt talk.
But
Butt talk. Get it?
well, if anybody wants to talk about the butts that we did or did not see, wants to know anything about Pete, or give Joe a compliment, you can hit us up at fndlpodcast@gmail or on the Twitters, which is the same, FNL Podcast. That kind of stuff. Or give us show suggestions.
Yeah.
It's hard to say the word show suggestions.
Show?
Show suggestions.
Oh, wow.
You gotta like pause.
Show suggestions. Ooh, that's tough.
Andromeda.
Andromeda.
Joe can't say.
Unbreakable.
Joe has a hard time with words like Andromeda.
Astromena.
No, it's not right.
Still not right?
No.
Astronema?
Astronema.
Huh.
Say astronoma.
Astronoma. Show suggestions.
You're crushing it.
I'm really glad you're not making me pronounce anything. I can't do it.
Well, I mean,
I'm just here.
Joe's
for
been
fun.
failing it this whole season, so I'm just going to keep making him do it till he nails it. But hey, everybody, thank you for listening to this week. I think Jimmy's back next week.
Sure.
For a very special episode of First and Last.
Yeah, where we watch a show about butts.
Is there a show? I'll
I don't know.
Google.
I think it's my show next week. Unless
So-
somebody sends us a great show suggestion in between.
And it could be your show.
It could be you.
Unless you pick something dumb. Don't
Yeah.
be an idiot.
Yeah, Doug.
That is not nice.
It could be mean. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week on another First and Last. Goodbye.
Bye.
So you got to wait for Joe because he'll make noise eventually, like he's saying goodbye.